UFC Shanghai is going down tomorrow, and today I'm going over my full card predictions. I do apologize for the late upload. Just been a little bit busy, and yeah, man, I don't have anything else to say about that. But last week was a disaster. I mean, really, I don't even think I hit a parlay piece. The only thing I did get was Serghei live bet. I live bet him at -115. I can't lie, I threw my whole account on that shit because I was just like, okay, this has got to bang, you know. So, anyways. Let's get back on track here. Make sure you guys go follow my Bet MMA. I'll let you know some of the bets I've got going for this fight just because I'm probably not going to make a betting guide video here. But yeah, man, this is a really good card, and all the China cards and Asia cards are typically good because these guys always come to fight. So I'm excited. 3 a.m. is a little bit early, but whatever. First fight up is a good one. Uran Satybaldiev taking on Diyar Nurghozay. Now, Nurghozay, I was big on, man. When he was even coming into the UFC, I thought he'd run through a barrow. He just looked like shit. I do believe he missed weight in that fight as well, and I'm like, how are you missing weight? Like, I remember when I broke this guy down on DWCS, I thought he was a small, light heavyweight, and he missed weight, which was concerning, and looked like shit, honestly. Like, I can't even lie. Like, Ribeiro caught him with a good shot and put him out and put him in that, what was it, the Kimura? Got him wrapped up in the Kimura, and he tapped. I wasn't expecting that. I did expect a cleaner performance, and I thought he was going to beat Ribeiro. And he's taking on Uran Satybaldiev, who I don't think is all that good, man. I really don't. Satybaldiev is the slight favorite at -130. He has powerful hands, but he's not the better striker here, and I don't even think he's the better well-rounded fighter here. Now, he's got heart, and he's got good cardio, but I just don't think that he's good, honestly. I don't even know any other way to put it. Nurghozay went out there on the contender series. He's got a highlight reel head kick knockout. He's got quick kicks. He is a little bit more low volume, but that's only because people fight it the way that he wants to fight. If Uran Satybaldiev's coming forward, he's not like Ribeiro. He's not like some technical striker. Diyar can counter him and put him out. So Satybaldiev has had some interesting fights, and you see, he's an LFA champ. He's looking pretty good, but he isn't. These performances aren't that clean. I can't even remember the guy he fought. I can't remember if it was his last title defense or the time he got the belt. He got to finish in the 4th round, but he was losing that fight. He was getting taken down. He was getting controlled on the mat, put in submission threats all over the place in that one. So for me, Diyar, I think he's a better grappler than Satybaldiev. I just think that Baldiev's cardio and his pace could give Diyar some problems, but I think Diyar's going to win. +110, I know that this line was wild, originally opening up -300, and it stayed like that. And I didn't end up getting in on it because I kind of felt like Diyar, I didn't think he was any good anymore. But I rewatched him, and he's still a good fighter, man, 100%. So for me, I do think Diyar Nurghozay wins this fight. I'm going to say by a decision. Satybaldiev seems like he's a tough dude. But I think he stuffs takedowns here. Nurghozay does. And I think he beats him on the feet. Maybe gets his own offensive wrestling. But this is an interesting fight. I could see it getting a little bit hairy. But I like Nurghozay here. And we'll move on to the next fight, which is a pretty good, solid scrap here. You got Xiao Long taking on Su Young-Yu, another line that's closed quite a bit. Xiao Long was a big underdog, a slight underdog. And I remember looking at him last week and just checking out the card, and I was like, oh my God, like Xiao Long's a good underdog. And obviously people, the market, and everyone else has seen that he is a good underdog. He's taking on Su Young-Yu, who I was kind of unimpressed with his performance last time out. You're fighting AJ Cunningham. You should be finishing that fight 100%. Now, what I will say about Yu is he's the more technical striker. He has better footwork. His hands are better, and he's just a better striker. And even wrestler for sure. But that doesn't matter all the time, right? Xiao Long is about as durable as they come. He's not great on the feet, but he can push forward and he can eat a fucking punch too. So, yeah, man, a little bit concerned for Su Young-Yu in this matchup. Xiao Long went on the contender series, got dominated by Christian Quinones. Like, it wasn't even a close fight. He got picked apart and just destroyed. And Quinones is a good striker. I do think, overall, Quinones is a better striker than Su Young-Yu for sure. But, Xiao Long is coming off a win over Kwang Le, who's not the best striker. And I do think that Su Young-Yu has better footwork, and he's just a better striker in this matchup. So I understand the line. I understand money coming in on Xiaolong because he does look like a beast, like 100%. But I'm going to go with Jiu-Jitsu here. I love his nickname as well. I do think he wins this fight. It'll be a tight one, but Yu seems to be just better on the feet, and maybe potentially can get this fight to the ground. But Xiaolong's takedown defense has looked really solid overall. So I'm going to pick Su Young Yu. I'm not too confident about it, but let's just move on to the next one. We got Yhiza versus Westin Wilson. Yhiza is minus 1,000 here. I'm not even going to lie. Probably some value there. Westin Wilson's horrible. Like, you could say, oh, he fought Joe Anderson Brito. Oh, he fought Gene Silva. Bro, it doesn't matter if he was in there versus anybody who has a brain. Jekka Serghei's his only win. Westin Wilson and Tuco Tucos are just people I never would have thought would win a UFC fight, and here we are. Both of them have won. So he's taking on Yhiza, who is a very big submission threat, but Yhiza is also a good striker. His striking isn't that good. He got torn apart by Gabriel Santos, who is very good. Gabriel Santos beat Jose Delano, who's a standout DWCS guy last week. So Santos is a beast, like 100%. He's got one of the best regional MMA, resumes you'll see. So for me, I think that Yhiza didn't look great in his last one. I also think that, like Gabriel Santos, I think of him as a top 10 featherweight. Obviously he went through some adversity against Jack Jenkins, but dominated that fight. And he does have the skill set to be a top 15, top 10 featherweight. But Yhiza, a lot of submissions. I don't know what that was. A lot of submissions. I'm sorry. And his hands are good. He's fast, and he kind of has some power. I think he'll knock Westin Wilson out. I'm hoping so. I kind of want to bet it. I think it's like plus 250. But I'm worried about like a ground and pound. But, Westin Wilson does have submissions off his back. But, dude, if you think he's going to get Yhiza in a submission, I'm here to tell you it ain't going to happen. It's just not going to happen. My prediction is Yhiza knocks him down. Westin Wilson tries to throw up a submission. He leaves himself open, and Yhiza ground and pounds him or takes advantage and submits him. So Westin Wilson will not win this fight. If he wins this fight, man, I'm going to have to think about doing a challenge because that would just be absolutely insane. He isn't winning. He's the worst fighter on the roster. Can't do it. Yhiza wins this fight in the first round. Let's move on. Michel Pereira, Kyle Daukaus. I'm not going to lie to y'all. I have not been doing a whole lot of research on this fight specifically because I just don't think Daukaus is good enough to compete with a guy like Pereira. Now, obviously, Michel, I don't know what the fuck's going on. This guy looks horrible versus Hernandez and looks even worse versus Abus. Like, I thought he was going to turn the corner and come out and whoop Abus Magomedov. And Abus looked like shit, It wasn't even like Michel. Obviously, Michel was horrible, didn't do anything like he usually does. Abus looked awful too, and if the Michel Pereira that is typically fights showed up to that fight, he would have beat the hell out of Abus. So I'm still pissed about that because I was all over Michel in that fight, and Abus looked horrible. And Pfeiffer's gonna knock him out, so it's not a huge deal. But he's taking on Kyle Daukaus, who obviously is a UFC veteran, good submission threat. But just slow, unathletic, man. And it's just hard for me to see Michel losing this. I think there might be a decent amount of value just because Michel, if he wins the fight, probably going to finish him in the first round. So potentially some good value here. Maybe I'll look at a bet on Michel in the first. I'm not giving up on Michel, man. I'm just not doing it. I don't know what's going on. I'm hoping it's resolved, and this is a very big step down in competition. I know that Abus isn't great, but Abus is much better than Kyle Daukaus. So give me Michel by first round finish, and we'll move on to the next fight. Rongzhu, Austin Hubbard. If you guys watched UFC 312, Rongzhu taking on Cody Steele. We absolutely nuked Rongzhu in that fight. Plus 250, doubled up on him at plus 300, nuked him, and he looked minus 500. Now, I'm a believer in Rongzhu. He's 25 years old. I think he's in his prime in his career just because he has so many goddamn fights. Maybe it's 27 or 26, but it won't be anything past 30, I feel like. But look, man, this guy's got all the skills to go out here and dominate this fight. He's taking on Austin Hubbard. I know a lot of people are on Hubbard's spread. I faded that. I'm on Rongzhu's spread, minus 3.5. You can check out my BetMMA on that. Minus 110, man. I'm getting a huge discount for that on a guy in Austin Hubbard who has a hard time winning minutes. And do you really think Austin Hubbard, all these split decisions, he's got to win around definitively in this fight. every judge has to score him one round at least. I'm just assuming that Rongzhu wins a decision, just assuming. Every single judge has to do that. And Austin Hubbard I can't see him getting a knockdown. I can't see him controlling Rongzhu for more than 2 minutes. And when it's on the feet, Rongzhu is more aggressive. He has excellent volume. Sure, he's hittable, but if he hits you, more damaging, right? There's, I did a lot of studying on this fight just because I did want to lay a lot on Rongzhu because I think that he should easily win this fight. He has every advantage to go out here and do it. And obviously, I'm not counting out Hubbard. He is a tough guy. He's durable. He hasn't fought anybody like this, though. Let's be real. Hits this hard. And he is coming off 2 split decision losses, and he beat Michael Figlak. Probably should have lost that fight. Hubbard is a guy who knows, is he just good at mixing in his wrestling, and his striking is unorthodox. It's okay. But he shouldn't win this fight, man. Rongzhu, especially because he's out there at City Kickboxing. He's working on the technical aspect of his game, which is a little bit underdeveloped just because he's such a brawler. So obviously now at City Kickboxing, he's going in there with more of a game plan, and I think that he'll look on point, man. I think he has potential to knock Hubbard out. If not, I think he dominates the fight and wins every round. Look, I know -3.5 is just a little bit risky, but I think there's more upside on Rongzhu getting a finish here than people are thinking, because Rongzhu hits like a damn truck. If he connects with any of those shots that he hit on steel, one of those big ones, he's putting Hubbard out. I don't give a damn that Hubbard hasn't put out. It will happen. So Rongzhu is my pick here. I think he finishes the fight. Probably going to play as KO. I am a little bit nervous of 100% just because I feel like the number is too giving. But give me Rongzhu here. I'm going to say by a second-round knockout. Let's move on to the next fight. Lon'er Kavanagh, Charles Johnson. Kavanagh is -205. I cannot get behind it, okay? And the reason that I say that is I'm a Kavanagh believer. I talked about this guy before DWCS last year. I was like, just watching him, I think that he has some of the best striking I've seen. Now he's coming to the UFC and hasn't been as clean as I expected. Now Ochoa, Dos Santos, good, dynamic, dangerous strikers, but that's kind of what Kavanagh's known for, is his striking. And if you do make him uncomfortable and you do throw unorthodox attacks and you pressure him, you can win. You know what I mean? Look at Ochoa. Look at Dos Santos. When they took that step and made him a little bit uncomfortable, then he's kind of like, was giving up rounds, giving up volume. Now, if Johnson, my issue with Johnson is his brain, I feel like, okay? Because he doesn't come out and fight the same way that he always does. Like, he's always doing different things, and, sometimes he'll sit at range. And if he sits at range in this fight, he's going to lose. He needs to come out here and put the gas on Lon'er Kavanagh. Now, Kavanagh, I think, has upside for a knockout here, because I do think that Johnson will come out with that game plan. But as the fight progresses, man, I don't think Kavanagh's takedown defense has been proven enough against a good enough opponent in Charles Johnson. His clinch, if Johnson comes out here or like he did against Sumudaerji, I think he wins the fight. And that's just because I think Johnson has better volume and better cardio. Look, I understand it's a tight fight, and the odds do not reflect on this fight in general. I think that Johnson has more upside in this fight. So I'm going to pick Charles Johnson here. Obviously, Kavanagh is a great fighter. I think the price is high, and I think the line is wide, especially for Johnson, who I'm not a huge fan of, but he has shown that he has skills. And I think that if he fights the right way in this fight, which is pressuring, measured pressure, and shooting takedowns, I think he wins this fight. So give me Charles Johnson by a decision. And 29-28, let's move on to the next one. We got Maheshate taking on Gage Young. Got a bit of I struggle with this fight a little bit. Maheshate is, I think he's being underlooked a little bit just because he is an underdog against Gage Young, who has one UFC fight and lost. Now, Gage Young, my problem with him, I'll give him his credit. He's a tough guy. He likes to come forward and pressure, but he doesn't do enough with the pressure. He doesn't throw enough combinations. He doesn't throw enough punches in general. And Maheshate, I don't like either, actually. I mean, he's got that right hand, which is always good. His footwork's okay. His kicks are okay. Got walked down by Nicholas Mata and pretty much hurt. I think he got dropped a couple times in that one. I don't know if it was a 29-28, but, Mata beat his ass. And Mata's, obviously, I do think Mata's a little bit better than Gage Young. But Gage Young is tough, man. If he lets his hands go, I think he'll win. But from what I've seen, I just don't see him let his hands go quite enough, Maheshate is going to have a big height advantage here, which could play some factors, I don't really like Young being the favorite here. So, honestly, I'm going to stay away from it 100% unless it's a live bet, of course. But Maheshate, I think he lost to Gabriel Benitez, too. Like, this guy, I'm not too sure if he's UFC level, and I don't really see him improving a whole lot as we kind of expected him to. He hasn't really gotten that much better. I'm going to go with Gage Young, and I think he could finish the fight later on. I think Maheshate's a little bit chinny. His defense isn't great. Obviously, who did he get put out by? Slava Claus? Did Slava finish him? I think he might have. I can't remember though. But yeah, I think Slava did. I'm going Gage Young here. I'm not confident though. Maheshate obviously has fought the better competition and beat better competition, right? So I'm gonna go Young. I think a late finish sounds good. And let's move on to the next one where we got, Taiyilake Nueraji, Kiefer Crosbie. Now this is a car crash, man. This is just going to be wild, okay? I'll say this about Nueraji. He's minus 500 here. I don't like it because I think that Crosbie has upside early on into the first round. If Crosbie can land a shot on the chin, he can put him out. Nueraji doesn't have great striking defense. He'll kick in the pocket. And his boxing, I don't think, is as good as Kiefer Crosby's in early on, because Crosbie is no gas tank. We've already got the under in this fight, under 1.5 at minus 185. I feel like I just had to take it. I think that's a line that should be minus 300. So Crosbie, he has upside in the first. He's powerful, he's dangerous, and he does hit hard early on. But once you get into the second, man, he's pretty much done for, and he can be, beaten up. You got beat up by some Bellator bum, like that. I watched that fight. I was like, this guy's almost 40 years old, I think he was 15-9, and he's whooping Kiefer Crosbie. And Crosbie, I think the fight ended after the first. Nueraji comes out with that kind of violence. So I think Crosby's going to try to close distance early and maybe land something big. I think Crosbie can knock him out in the first, like I said, but if the fight extends, expect Nueraji to take over and finish him. I'm a little bit nervous because if it does extend, past the first, I think Nueraji will, try to look for the finish early on. But I just have to take the under 1.5 here. It's at minus 185, so not too bad. It's not there anymore, but I got it at minus 185. I like Nueraji. I think he wins this fight in the second round. And obviously I said, but I just think there's upside. Early second round. Let's move on to the next one where we got Sumudaerji taking on Kevin Borjas. Interesting line here. Sumudaerji's minus 160, man. And I bet Kevin Borjas last time versus Lazy Boy. That was an easy one. I mean, he defended every takedown. Just an easy win. Now, Borjas has power. He's a guy who does hit hard, 100%. He's at a decent height and reach discrepancy here. Borjas has good calf kicks, great calf kicks. He has a good flying knee. And his 1-2 sharp, good left hook. He's a very good striker. I don't want to go out here and say he's elite, but he's a good striker. My issue is the volume side of things, where I don't think he throws enough. 5.1, I think that's just in the Josh Van fight, and statistics don't matter because Sumudaerji will outvolume him in this one. I think that Sumudaerji has the upside in the volume. He's got a bigger bag of attacks. I think he'll go after the low kick. I think he's got better footwork as well. And I think Borjas is a guy who looks to counter. And I think it'll be hard to catch Sumudaerji. Now, he can be hit. His hands are low, and it's a little bit of a concern. But I just think he's better, man. His footwork to me is a little bit better. I think he has more submission upside. So even if Borjas wants to take him down, obviously Sumudaerji's takedown defense is horrible, but he's really quick to get back up to his feet. I don't think we'll see this fight take a lot of place on the ground, but I think Sumu wins. I like his volume. I like his diversity in his attacks, and I also do like the southpaw versus orthodox matchup here for Sumudaerji. I think Borjas is a decent underdog. I'm not going to sit here and say he's a crazy underdog, but he's pretty good. I'm going to go Sumudaerji. I think he wins this fight by a decision, but take a look at the under 2.5 in this fight. Both of these guys are known for knockouts, right? Borjas has a lot of knockouts. Sumudaerji has a lot of knockouts. So I wouldn't hate a shot at that as well, just statistically. But stylistically, I do think we'll see this fight extend. So I'm going to go Sumudaerji here by decision. And we'll move on to the next one where we got heavyweight Serghei Pavlovich, Waldo Cortes Acosta. Coming into this one, easy Serghei Pavlovich. I'm all over him. Think this is an easy one. He doesn't have to worry about anything. But then you watch Serghei again, and he's low volume, man. He's very prone to being leg kicked, as we saw in the Aspinall fight. He doesn't check him at all. He's very heavy on that front leg, and he is low volume, staring. And Waldo, he's not great. But what he does have is good cardio, good endurance, and he's got a lot of heart, man. I'd never forget the Rodrigo de Lima fight. My bad. I don't know why I was forgetting that guy's name. De Lima was kicking the hell out of his legs, and Waldo didn't check any of them. I thought the fight would be over. But Waldo gets up. Waldo wins the third round, which is just crazy because he could barely stand up. And I think that while I don't like Waldo as a fighter, I don't think he's that good, and I thought he lost to Serghei Spivak, I think that he's got enough advantages in this fight to win this one. Now, what I will say about Pavlovich is he has an insane jab, bro. His lead hand, it's just his power in general is just ridiculous. Now, I do remember this isn't actually Waldo Cortes Acosta's reach. I think it's 78, but that would be crazy, 14-inch reach advantage. Pavlovich is an 84-inch reach, which is just ridiculous for a 6'3" guy. I mean, that's insane. That's insane, okay? But Pavlovich, man, I just remember that Curtis Blades fight I referenced. He just pops him with the jab, and Blades is dancing. It's just crazy how much power this guy has. But if the movement of Cortes Acosta can kind of make Serghei stand and stare at him a little bit like the Jairzinho Rosenstrike, where Serghei didn't throw a whole lot, and I don't think he'll be able to take Cortes Acosta down. I think that Pavlovich is going to either end this fight early, or I think he'll end up losing a decision to Acosta. And as much as I don't want to see Acosta win, actually I don't dislike him. I just hate how he robbed Spivak, I'm not going to lie. I don't like Pavlovich's activity, man, and he's going to have to land a knockout shot. And 100% he can do that, which is why I think I might go first round KO for Pavlovich and throw some on Cortes Acosta money line. I could be doing that, so stay tuned for that. Because honestly, that's how I see it. If Pavlovich doesn't get him out in the first or lands something, a Hail Mary in the first, I think Cortes Acosta uses his movement, uses his leg kicks, jab, and wins the fight. I don't like his defense, but he's a tough guy, man. I'm going with Cortes Acosta here at plus 220. I like his upside in this matchup, and we'll move on to the next fight where we have a catchweight fight versus Brian Ortega. Aljamain Sterling versus Brian Ortega. Since that weight miss, I mean, so much money has come in on Aljamain Sterling. Minus 260 all the way down to minus 450, which is some insane line movement. Now, I think I have a decent read on this fight. Obviously, there's not, this is a grappler's delight, right? This is probably going to be the most boring fight on the card. Look, man, I think this fight can get finished. The under 4.5, is plus money. I want to take a shot at it. I just do. Ortega has a lot of upside finishing the fight off his back or via submission, and Sterling doesn't have much finishing ability, and I don't even think Ortega's ever been finished. But if Sterling can pressure him and put that pressure on him and ground and pound him, I don't even know how Ortega's going to look, honestly, man. I think Aljo can finish the fight as well later on, so I think that the under 4.5 could be something valuable there, man. And I know none of these guys have been finished on the ground, at least, I don't think. But this is the fight to happen. Both of the guys are getting older. Ortega didn't look great in his last one. Aljo looked pretty good in his last one. I think there's upside for Aljo to finish the fight late, and obviously the submission threat that Ortega has, he could potentially get a finish as well. So I think that I'm going to go Aljo for sure. I just like the pressure. I don't think Ortega is going to look as good. Obviously Ortega has probably the slicker striking, but it's not going to be a huge factor. I think Ortega might have some, finishing ability early on with the triangles and the guillotines, but as the fight progresses, the pressure from Sterling, I think will start to break Ortega. And I'm just hoping Sterling will look for a finish, right? Or is he going to hold him on the fence like he did Calvin Kattar? I don't know. But there's a chance I could take a shot at the under 4.5. Maybe. Stay tuned. Check out, just update my Bet MMA. Check it before the fights, or I'll post on Twitter as well. So my pick is Sterling here. I think he wins by a late finish. I'm going to take a late finish for Aljamain Sterling. And let's move on to the main event where we have Johnny Walker, Mingyang Zhang. Okay, I just have to think that this is as straightforward as possible. Mingyang Zhang is minus 360, and I like it. I just don't know. Like, we are seeing another pressure boxer take on Johnny Walker. Let's take a look at Johnny Walker's resume and see what happens when he fights pressure boxers, just from past couple of fights. Let's see. Jamal Hill, knocked out. And Volkan Ozdemir, knocked out. Johnny Walker, when he gets pressed up on the fence, looks like one of the worst fighters. He looks so uncomfortable. If you go to this guy's body just once or twice, man, he will drop his hands and you can find the knockout. Mingyang Zhang is going to walk him down. And while Mingyang Zhang is hittable, sure, I think there's some upside for Johnny Walker KO early. I'm really not that worried about it. I think that Mingyang Zhang is going to fold him in half, bro. Like, this is just another horrible matchup for Walker. Like, I even watched Walker's last win versus Anthony Smith. I mean, fucking Anthony Smith was tagging him. Like, he's hittable as fuck, man. Smith was hitting him like crazy. Like, multiple times I saw Anthony Smith connect with left hooks and overhands. It's ridiculous, man. The guy just doesn't have boxing defense at all. And obviously he won that fight, but was it a good, exciting, dynamic performance? No, it was horrible. I think Walker's going to get knocked out, man. I don't know what else I should expect, I wish Mingyang Zhang would go to the body a little bit more, because I think if he does, he's going to fucking fold Walker in the first, early on into the fight. But he doesn't really go to the body a whole lot. Now, I just can't see Mingyang losing the fight, man. I can't even lie to you. If it happens, it happens, but, Johnny Walker's not some guy that, Mingyang Zhang gets out of the first and maybe he's a little bit tired. Walker's not a guy who can take advantage of that. And himself, his cardio isn't great either. So it should be it should be Mingyang Zhang all day, man. And I know the line might be a little bit too priced highly for some people, but I don't know how you can watch Johnny Walker's last 3 fights and think he can win this fight. Maybe he can try to grapple. I think Mingyang Zhang will be fine. I just can't see him winning the fight, man, honestly. I just try to imagine something. The only thing I can imagine is Johnny Walker landing a stupid shot and getting a finish off that. And if that happens, whatever, man. I'm not too upset about that. But Mingyang Zhang, I already have him parlayed up with the under 1.5 in that Kiefer Crosbie fight. So that was my bet that I posted on Twitter. And, that's going to wrap it up for me, predictions-wise. I do apologize again for getting the video out so extremely late. I don't try to do that, but I have been pretty busy. Obviously, we got a week off, I do believe, next week. Yeah, we do. So, week off next week. Hopefully, I'll maybe get a video out, an early predictions for the Paris card. And, man, DWCS, of course. I forgot about that, but we'll get that out as well. So, man, that's going to wrap it up for me. I hope y'all enjoyed, and I'll catch you in the next one.